Hey guys, it's History Behind the Warrior and welcome to another Mortal Kombat video. Now today, in order to celebrate the amazing reveal of Noob Saibot for Mortal Kombat 11, I wanted to remaster an old History of video, that of course being Noob Saibot. Now I have briefly touched on that character's history, so I do recommend you check out the History of Sub-Zero Remastered before you do watch this, as you'll be able to understand Kuai Liang's story as well as Bi-Han's. So for the first few minutes of this video, I will be treading some familiar steps. If you don't really want a recap of their origins and mythologies, I do advise you go to the Mortal Kombat 1 section of the video, but anyway, without any further ado, let's just get started. Now the origin story of Bi-Han is actually very interesting. He most certainly did not have a normal childhood. Many years back before he was born, the Grandmaster would send out Lin Kuei operatives to go find and make families. After a few years had passed, the assassin parent would steal the children away from the other parents and bring them back to China in order to raise them in the Lin Kuei. So a lot of warriors in the Lin Kuei were actually born to serve it, more or less being bred by the finest warriors the organization had to offer. And obviously from what you can tell, this happened to Bi-Han and Kuai Liang. Now whilst the two were growing up in the Lin Kuei, the two quickly learned to take advantage of their cryomancer-like abilities, and it quickly made them extremely fierce warriors within the society, with Bi-Han taking on the mantle of Sub-Zero and Kuai Liang taking on the mantle Tundra. Now as the years passed by, Bi-Han became a dedicated member of the Lin Kuei, executing orders without a second thought. But due to his rather cold and callous nature because of his job, a somewhat rift opened up between the two brothers, and as the years passed by, they did become distant. Now Kuai Liang didn't actually hate Bi-Han or was envious of him in any way, shape and form, as Bi-Han quickly became the strongest fighter in the organization, so Kuai in fact admired him from a distance. But Bi-Han's complete and utter devotion to the Lin Kuei narrowed his vision and his care. Now one day the Lin Kuei would be approached by a Netherrealmer, one going by the name of Quan Chi. Now this individual was interested in obtaining something known as the Scroll of Elements. Now unfortunately he himself was unable to acquire it, but did hire the Lin Kuei to seek it out for him. They sent off their best operative, Bi-Han, in order to acquire it. Now whilst on his journey to the temple, Bi-Han came across Hanzo Hasashi, a member of the Shira Ryu, another assassin organization that did rival his, and after learning that Hanzo was also after the scroll, the two would battle it out, with Bi-Han gaining the upper hand on Hanzo and ending the Shira Ryu member's life. Now this wasn't in fact the end of the job. You see, when he returned back to the Lin Kuei temple, the Grandmaster had also given him orders to track down an amulet, one of extreme power for Quan Chi. Now for the first time in his life, Bi-Han felt rather hesitant about the orders that were presented before him, as he did not at all trust Quan Chi, especially after the sorcerer revealed to him that he'd also hired Hanzo to track down the scroll. Now despite his instincts telling him not to do this, he would go through with the job in order to display his dedication to the Lin Kuei, and thus begins the second part of his journey within Mortal Kombat mythologies. Now after facing multiple different elemental guardians, Bi-Han was able to gain access to the amulet, but before he could take it, Quan Chi would appear. You see, Quan Chi simply wanted Bi-Han to do all of the dirty work so he could gain Shinnok's amulet, an item that would magnify the power of anyone that wielded it. Now before Sub-Zero would stop him, the sorcerer would mysteriously disappear, and Bi-Han would be confronted by a very angry Raiden. Now despite this situation being Bi-Han's fault, Raiden would give him the opportunity to redeem himself, saying that he would transport him to the Netherrealm in order to track down Quan Chi and retrieve the amulet. Now wanting to redeem himself and his clan, Bi-Han would accept this quest and begin his journey through hell. Now during his travels, he was forced to kill and defeat many of Quan Chi's servants, but something very interesting happened during this. Bi-Han, the cold-blooded killer, decided to spare one of his servants known as Serena, giving her the opportunity to walk away from the life that Quan Chi had enslaved her to. And this does show a slight change of character for Bi-Han. Now as the story does progress, he does in fact come face to face with Hanzo Hasashi once again, but this time he's under the Scorpion persona, as he's now made a deal with Quan Chi in order to avenge his death. And whilst they are arguing, we also learn that Scorpion's clan, the Shira Ryu, have also seemingly been extinguished, and Scorpion places their blame and death on him. So naturally this would lead to a fight between the two, of which Hanzo was unsuccessful once more. Now Sub-Zero would continue his journey, entering Quan Chi's fortress, and with a little bit of assistance from Serena, he would defeat Quan Chi. Now before Serena was able to experience true freedom, she would seemingly be killed from behind by Shinnok, as the fallen Elder God was seemingly active in the Netherrealm. Now Bi-Han was able to outsmart the fallen Elder God and escape the Netherrealm through a portal assisted by Raiden, returning the amulet back to where it belonged. Now, despite being successful on his journey, before Quan Chi was defeated, Quan Chi said that there was a darkness inside him that actually appealed to him. For you see, if an Earthrealmer is left in the Netherrealm for too long, the darkness and madness of the realm begins to corrupt them. But Bi-Han was seemingly unaffected by this, and this understandably put a bit of fear in Bi-Han's heart. Now, Raiden did try to reassure him that he was not evil at his core, but little did they know about the events that would later transpire. Mortal Kombat 1. Now, when Sub-Zero returned back to the Lin Kuei Temple, he told the Grand Master about how he was successful in his mission, and after briefly being praised, the Grand Master would deliver him the news that he would be selected to participate in the Mortal Kombat tournament, as it was now time for Earthrealm to defend itself against Outworld's possible final victory. So they wanted to send their best in order to achieve this. But of course it is the Lin Kuei, and you can't trust everything that they do. As you see, the Grandmaster didn't just send Bi-Han to the tournament in order to represent them, but the Lin Kuei had a long existing contract on Shang Tsung, the tournament organizer. At some point after the tournament had finished, the Grandmaster wanted Bi-Han to assassinate him, so this in turn would actually complete another job. Now, due to the fact that the first Mortal Kombat tournament is an old arcade cabinet, it didn't solely focus on story, so we don't know exactly everyone who Sub-Zero fought during this tournament. However, we do know that after Shang Tsung and Goro were defeated, the island began to collapse and crumble, and before Bi-Han could actually track down Shang Tsung, he'd be confronted once again by his old enemy Scorpion. The two would battle it out, but unfortunately Bi-Han finally fell and was killed by Hanzo. Now, although Bi-Han was physically dead, his soul and essence would be sent to the Netherrealm. Once his soul fell into the hands of Quan Chi, he started to twist and contort Sub-Zero into Noob Saibot, changing the Lin Kuei assassin into a dark phantom. So now Noob would be a slave of Quan Chi's control. As you see behind the scenes of the Mortal Kombat tournament, Quan Chi and Shinnok was quietly assembling a group together known as the Brotherhood of Shadow, and once the fate of Earthrealm was determined, they would lead a massive strike across the realms, laying waste to all that stood in their way. Now, Noob makes very small but brief appearances in Mortal Kombat 2 and 3. Now, during the events of the second Mortal Kombat tournament, the only reason he is around is because he wants to keep an eye on the events that are transpiring, especially seeing as now Shao Kahn himself is getting involved in the tournament. During the third game in Earthrealm's invasion, he actually sides with Shao Kahn under the disguise that he's a devoted follower of the Emperor, but of course he has been planted here by Shinnok to keep an eye on the Emperor. Mortal Kombat 4. After Shao Kahn has been defeated, Shinnok and the Brotherhood of Shadow would strike. As you see, after Shao Kahn was defeated, Edenia was separated from Outworld, and Shao Kahn at this point in time is in fact at his weakest. So by leading a siege across the realms, Shinnok hopes to acquire everything in his path, as understandably no one has actually recovered from the previous battle. However, despite their sheer numbers and army, the Brotherhood of Shadow is fended off by Raiden's forces of light, and Shinnok himself is defeated, which in turn does lead to the fall of the Brotherhood of Shadow. Now, after this point, Noob would in fact serve Shao Kahn, but this wouldn't last very long. Mortal Kombat Deception. Now, between the fourth Mortal Kombat game and Deception, Shang Tsung and Quan Chi formed a deadly alliance, and together they went on a rampage across the realms, killing any big players that may in fact stop them. So the first two victims that were claimed by the pair were Liu Kang and Shao Kahn. Now, freed of Shao Kahn's service, and learning that the Deadly Alliance were killing many of Earthrealm's defenders, Noob decided to take advantage of the situation and assert himself as a dominant force in the universe. He wanted to create a League of Assassins, with him being the head of the organization. But first he needed someone that would have a form of undying loyalty to him, and that's where he came across Smoke's unit, hidden deep within Shao Kahn's fortress. He would start up the cyborg and program it so it would serve him. Now, what's very interesting here is that it seems like he fused some of his demonic properties with Smoke, as the Smoke unit now had the ability to use nanobots that could corrupt individuals into cyber demons. Now, as the two were leaving the fortress, now Noob did try to avoid his brother, but Kuai Liang was persistent in finding him, and when Kuai Liang came face to face with his brother, Noob and Smoke would attack him, overpowering the Grandmaster and nearly killing him until Serena stepped in. Now, after this, Noob was quite proud of his brother, seeing as he now was the Grandmaster of the Lin Kuei, but he knew he couldn't allow his brother and the Lin Kuei to live, as they would most certainly interfere with his plans. Mortal Kombat Armageddon. Now, during the events of Armageddon, Noob Saibot and Smoke would lead a massive siege against the Lin Kuei Temple, killing many of its members or converting them into cyborg demons. And for the most part, the battle was actually in their favor. However, there was one anomaly that they couldn't account for, and that was the Denian demigod Taven. You see, Noob was actually successful in defeating his brother, but after this had to fight Taven and was defeated. Now after this, Sub-Zero would attempt to bring back his friend and family, as he wished to cleanse his brother's soul and allow Smoke to regain his memories. Now he was up to a certain extent successful, as Smoke was able to regain his own consciousness. However, it does look like Kuai Liang was unsuccessful in cleansing his brother's soul, as Noob can be seen during the Battle of Armageddon on the Forces of Darkness. Now since this is the Battle of Armageddon, we all know that we are at the end of the original timeline, and as such, many fighters at the Battle of Armageddon do die, and this does include Noob. Now when the universe is rebooted in Mortal Kombat 9, there only are some slight details and changes with Bi-Han and Kuai Liang's origins. Unlike their original origins, where they were bred to be Lin Kuei warriors, we learn that the Lin Kuei kidnapped them when they were extremely young from their village, and from then onwards raised them within the Lin Kuei. And although it's not explicitly said, it is strongly hinted and insinuated, but Mortal Kombat mythologies happened in this universe as well. So there are very minor and small changes to Bi-Han's origins here. Now during the MK1 section of the game, we get to see a little bit more of Bi-Han than in the original. We get to see his interactions with his fellow Lin Kuei members, and a fight he briefly does have with Sonya Blade in Goro's lair. He then makes his final appearance in Scorpion's chapter, where he finally confronts Scorpion in this timeline for the last time. And as expected, much like the original timeline, he is defeated by him. But we see here that Scorpion is in fact hesitant in killing him. That is until Quan Chi shows him visions of the Shira Ryu massacre, and that Bi-Han was apparently leading the siege, something which is in fact false. So because of this, Bi-Han is killed. Now again, much like the original timeline, he is brought back from the dead as Noob Saibot and is put under Quan Chi's control. He then somewhat makes his debut during the end half of the MK2 section of the game, where he's attempting to stop Earthrealmers from rescuing Kitana, who was at the time due to be executed in Outworld. Now Noob does go one-on-one with Kung Lao, but is defeated by the Shaolin. Now he does make a very brief appearance later, during Sindel's resurrection, and once again during Cabal's chapter. Now at this point in time, Outworld has begun its invasion of Earthrealm, and Cabal has recently been revived courtesy of assistance from Kano. But after learning that Kano has been playing a rather important role in this battle, Cabal turns against Kano and attempts to leave Outworld. It's here where he's confronted by Melina and Noob, and the pair are defeated. Now during the end of MK9, Quan Chi is attempting to summon a Soulnado, and Cyber Sub-Zero has been sent to stop him. And this is our first confrontation of a Cyber Sub-Zero meeting his revenant brother. Now Kuai Liang at first is understandably shocked about what has happened to his brother, and does attempt to reach out to him. But as expected from Bi-Han, he gives a rather cold response back to his brother, and saying whilst they share blood, they are no longer brothers. Now the two do fight and Noob is defeated, but this doesn't keep him down for too long, as when the Soulnado is summoned, Sub-Zero is forced to run away, and Nightwolf takes his place. Now Noob does battle Nightwolf, and the Shaman is able to overpower him and kick him into the Soulnado, which not only seemingly destroys him, but does also obliterate the Soulnado. And this pretty much leads up to his return in Mortal Kombat 11. Now we don't exactly know if the Noob Saibot we see here is the same one that was kicked into the Soulnado, but either way, Noob Saibot has returned back to the Mortal Kombat franchise, and he has a stunning new look and moveset to go with it. So I'm extremely excited to see what exactly is going on with this character here. But yes, that is actually it for this video guys. I hope you enjoyed it and learnt more by doing so. Remember guys, these videos are designed to get you up to date with the character before MK11's release, and even from that point onwards, I'll be covering more characters and updating these videos, so you definitely want to keep an eye out for that. But yes, that is actually it for this video guys. Now what are your thoughts on Noob Saibot's return? Do you like his new design, and will you be playing him? Comment down below. But yeah, that's basically it for now guys. So before this video wraps up, if possible, let's try getting it to about 500 likes. It's a great way of supporting this channel since YouTube's ad system is broken as hell. So by giving it a thumbs up, it helps out a ton. And also don't forget to tick that bell, as YouTube will always seemingly have the problem of my videos not appearing in your sub boxes. So by doing that, it's going to help me out and most certainly help you out. Anyway guys, as always, please comment, like, subscribe and share this video with everyone you know. Please take care, and I'll see you all next